Be me, Julian, architectural drafter. Life is a series of clean lines and precise measurements. Long hair kept in a strict professional bun. Khakis pressed to a razor edge. My sedan decides to stage a mutiny. Engine sounds like a bag of hammers in a blender. Limp the car into the first local shop I see. It's a nightmare of rust and oil. Step into the garage, cringing at the grime. A pair of heavy boots rolls out from under a lifted SUV. The mechanic stands up. She's covered in soot and spite. My heart hits the floor. It's Roxy, my middle school tormentor. The girl who used to yank my hair until my eyes watered. The one who got expelled for being uncontrollable. She locks eyes with me and smiles. It's not a friendly smile. Well, she rasps. If it isn't little Jules. She walks toward me, looming in her grease-stained coveralls. I try to maintain my dignity. My car needs an immediate diagnostic, I say, voice tight. She doesn't answer. She looks down at her hands, dripping with black sludge. She reaches out and wipes a massive streak of oil across my thigh, right on my $120 cream-colored khakis. Oops, she says, her eyes dancing with malice. Must have slipped. I stare at the ruin of my pants in stunned silence. She looks up at my head and starts cackling. What the hell happened to you? You grew it out just to put it in a pretentious little man bun? You look like a librarian's assistant who lost a fight with a hair tie. She reaches out and flicks the bun hard. My scalp stings. Still as soft as ever, Jules. She holds out a filthy hand. Keys. Now. I hand them over, my fingers trembling with fury. She catches them and tosses them into the air. Go sit in the waiting room, bun boy. Try not to get any more of your clean on my floor. I walk toward the dingy plastic chairs. I can feel her staring at the back of my head. This is going to be a long day. I hate my life. Open my laptop on the sticky orange plastic chair. The air smells like burnt rubber and ancient cigarettes. Try to focus on the Revit model for the downtown project. Precision is the only thing that calms me. Clink. A heavy metal lug nut bounces off the corner of my screen. I look up, startled. Roxy is leaning against the doorframe, tossing a third nut into the air and catching it. What's that, Jules? Your digital scrapbook? It's a structural schematic, Roxy. Please don't throw things near it. She snorts and tosses the third one. It pings off my shift key. You look like you're about to have a panic attack over a spreadsheet. I bet you don't even have a social life to get back to. Just you, a bottle of organic shampoo, and a very lonely spice rack. I grit my teeth and stare at the screen. She walks over to the hydraulic lift controls, grins at me as she pulls the heavy lever. My sedan rises slowly toward the ceiling, wheels dangling. Hey, I told you I have a deadline. She squinted at the undercarriage with fake concern. Oof, suspension looks real iffy, bun boy. Gonna need a full deep cycle diagnostic before I can let this back on the road. Safety first, right? She checks the clock on the wall. Looks like it's my lunch hour. Guess you're stuck. She drags a greasy stool over and sits directly in front of me. She pulls a meatball sub out of a crinkled paper bag, starts eating with her mouth open, the smell of onions filling the small room. So, do you still cry when people touch your hair, or did you grow out of that? I slam my laptop shut. The sound echoes in the quiet garage. I look her dead in her soot-smudged eyes. You're pathetic, Roxy. She stops chewing, a smear of marinara on her lip. Excuse me? Look at you. You're still the same playground bully. You still have the same filth under your fingernails from 10 years ago. You're a walking case of arrested development in steel-toed boots. It's sad, really. I'm shaking with adrenaline. I expect her to lung at me or throw her sandwich. She stares at me, her expression unreadable for 5 long seconds. Then, her head tilts back. She lets out a loud, barking, chaotic laugh that rattles the window panes. Damn, Jules! I didn't think you had a spine under that knit cardigan. She wipes her mouth with the back of her hand, grinning. Maybe this won't be so boring after all. Roxy wipes her hand on a rag and kicks the lift lever. Bad news, bun boy. Parts store says the strut won't be in until tomorrow morning. I check my watch, my heart sinking. I have a conference call in an hour. I need a rental, a taxi, anything. Roxy pulls a set of heavy keys from her pocket and jingles them. The only thing leaving this shop tonight is the beast. She points to a corner draped in a heavy black tarp. She rips it off with a flourish. It's a custom-built chopper. Chrome pipes, matte black frame, and a seat like a leather slab. No, I say, backing away. Absolutely not. Walk then, Jules. It's 6 miles and it's starting to mist. I look at my loafers. I look at the bike. Fine. She tosses me a helmet that smells like old sweat and gasoline. I struggle to buckle it over my bun, the strap pinching my chin. She hops on and kicks the starter. The engine roars so loud my teeth rattle in my skull. Hop on. Hold on tight. I sit behind her, my knees practically touching my chest. I gingerly place my hands on her waist, barely touching the leather. She reaches back, grabs my wrists, and yanks them forward. I said, hold on, not ask for a dance. I'm forced to wrap my arms around her heavy jacket. She smells like wood smoke and WD-40. She guns the throttle. We fly out of the garage, the back tire screaming. My stomach stays behind in the waiting room. She's a complete lunatic. She leans into a 45-degree turn at the first light. I squeeze my eyes shut and bury my face in the back of her neck. I can feel her laughing through the vibration of the bike. She hits every pothole on purpose. She weaves between SUVs like a needle through fabric. I'm convinced I'm going to die in a pair of ruined khakis. Finally, the bike idles in front of my glass-fronted apartment complex. The doorman looks at us like we're a low-speed collision. I scramble off the seat, my legs shaking like jelly. I fumble with the helmet and hand it back, my hands trembling. Thanks for the transport. She doesn't leave. She stands up, straddling the bike. You're shaking, Jules. It's embarrassing. She reaches out suddenly. Before I can flinch, she grabs my hair bun. She doesn't just flick it this time. She gives it a violent, playful shake. The hair tie snaps. My hair falls down my back in a tangled, messy curtain. There, she smirks, stowing the broken elastic in her pocket. Looks better. She guns the engine and roars away into the dusk. I stand on the sidewalk, my hair a wild, wind-blown wreck. The heavy scent of motor oil clings to my skin. I've never been more furious, or more awake. Walk through the grease-stained threshold the next evening. The sun is setting, casting long orange shadows over the tools. Roxy is leaning over a workbench, her back to me. She looks tired, her shoulders slumped under her heavy work shirt. I'm holding a white box tied with a silk ribbon. 4 lemon tarts and 2 chocolate eclairs. Total cost, $42. A bribe for my own property. I'm here for the car, I say. She turns around, a sarcastic remark already forming on her lips. Then she sees the box. She stops mid-sentence. What's that? A bomb? Pastries, from the place on 5th. I set them down on a relatively clean spot on the workbench. A peace offering for the ride. She stares at the box like it's a foreign artifact. She opens it slowly, her movements uncharacteristically careful. The scent of vanilla and butter cuts through the smell of gasoline. Her eyes soften in a way I've never seen. You're serious? I'm serious. She drags over 2 overturned plastic milk crates. Sit down, Jules. I hesitate, looking at my fresh navy slacks. Then I sit. We sit in the middle of the garage, surrounded by skeletons of engines. She hands me an eclair and takes a tart for herself. We eat in a silence that isn't heavy for once. It's almost peaceful. The shop is quiet, the compressor hum having died down for the day. I haven't put my hair back into a strict bun today. It's just hanging loose, still a bit wild from yesterday's ride. Roxy finishes her tart and looks at me, her expression unreadable. She reaches out, her hand hovering near my face. I don't flinch this time. Her thumb is calloused and stained with faint traces of oil. She brushes a dusting of powdered sugar out of my loose hair. Her fingers linger against my scalp for a heartbeat too long. Her touch is surprisingly gentle. It's warm. The air between us feels thick, charged with something new. She realizes what she's doing. Her eyes go wide and she yanks her hand back. Shit, she mutters. She turns her head, face flushing a deep red under the soot. A scrawny orange tabby cat trots across the floor. Get out of here, you flea-bitten mascot, she barks at the cat. The cat doesn't even flinch. I look down at my half-eaten eclair. My heart is thumping against my ribs. The silence is back, but now it's humming with a different kind of energy. A crack of thunder shakes the corrugated metal roof. The lights flicker once, twice, then die completely. The garage is plunged into a thick, oily darkness. The sound of the rain is deafening, a relentless drumming on the tin. "Shit!" Roxy yells from the back. I hear her boots splashing through water as she runs for the bay doors. The wind is howling, spraying a wall of mist across the concrete floor. She struggles with the heavy chain, her muscles straining in the shadows. I grab my drafting flashlight from my bag. The beam cuts through the gloom, white and clinical. I shine it on her as she finally slams the door shut and locks it. She's drenched. Her tank top is clinging to her skin, her wild curls plastered to her neck. She's shivering, her teeth starting to chatter in the sudden chill. "Alignment's not done, Jules," she gasps, wiping rain from her eyes. "Power's out in the whole block. We're stuck." I look at her, really look at her. She looks smaller without the bravado. I reach into my bag and pull out my spare knit cardigan. It's thick, charcoal wool, smelling of cedar and expensive soap. I hold it out to her. "Put this on. You're freezing." She stares at the pristine fabric, hesitating. "I'll get grease on it, bun boy. It's too nice." "I don't care, Roxy. Just take it." She slides it on, her hands disappearing into the oversized sleeves. She looks ridiculous and adorable all at once. The air in the shop is turning icy. "Let's sit in the car," she says, nodding toward my sedan. "It's the only place that isn't damp." We climb into the back seat together. The flashlight is propped in the armrest, casting a soft golden glow. Outside, the storm rages against the metal walls. Inside, the world is small and quiet. She pulls the cardigan tighter, burying her chin in the collar. "I hated being the bad kid," she whispers, her voice cracking. "I was just so angry all the time, because nobody listened." I watch a bead of water roll down the window. "I was so scared of making a mistake that I forgot how to live," I admit. "I spent 10 years making sure everything was in its place. And yet, I've never felt more at home than in a dark garage." She looks at me, her eyes reflecting the flashlight beam. The shared loneliness between us is palpable. It's a bridge we're finally starting to cross. We sit shoulder to shoulder, listening to the rhythm of the rain. For the first time, I don't want to be anywhere else. The rain turns into a steady, rhythmic hum against the roof. Roxy's breathing slows, becoming heavy and rhythmic. Her head sways for a moment before dropping. It lands right in the hollow of my shoulder. I stop breathing for a full 10 seconds. The oversized cardigan I gave her is bunched up between us. She smells like my cedar soap and a hint of old oil. I want to move my arm, but I'm terrified of breaking the spell. My shoulder goes numb, but I stay perfectly still. I watch the shadows of the storm dance on the dashboard. An hour slips by in the hazy golden light of the flashlight. The battery is starting to fail, the beam growing dim. Roxy stirs with a soft, sleepy groan. She tries to sit up quickly and immediately yelps in pain. "Ow! Damn it! Shit!" Her wild, grease-dampened curls have snagged in her jagged silver hoop earring. The earring is twisted at a brutal angle, pulling her earlobe taut. She starts clawing at it with her rough, panicked fingers. "Stop, Roxy! Stop!" I whisper, reaching out to catch her wrists. "You're going to tear your ear." "It's stuck, Jules. It's really stuck." I gently swat her hands away from her head. I prop the flashlight up to shine directly on the knot. It's a disaster of dark curls and sharp, twisted metal. I lean in close, so close I can feel the heat radiating from her neck. I start to work, my fingers moving with drafting room precision. Each hair is a line I need to save from a smudge. The knuckles brush against the soft, sensitive skin behind her ear. She goes completely still under my touch. I can hear her heart hammering against her ribs. Or maybe it's mine. Her breath hitches as I gently slide a stubborn strand free. Almost there, I murmur, my voice sounding foreign in the small space. I have to use both hands, cupping her jaw to keep her steady. Her skin is surprisingly soft beneath the faint smudges of soot. I work the last loop of hair over the silver post. One last, careful tug. The hoop falls free into my palm. I don't pull my hands away immediately. I'm staring into her eyes, which are wide and dark, inches from my own. The air in the car is thick, charged with a sudden, electric tension. She doesn't look like the girl who ruined my khakis anymore. She looks vulnerable. I'm hyper-aware of the way her chest rises and falls against the wool. The rain outside has finally stopped, leaving a heavy silence. We stay like that, suspended in the dark, neither of us willing to move. The power surge hits with a loud, industrial thunk from the transformer outside. The fluorescent lights overhead flicker, hum, and then roar to life with a sterile buzz. The magical golden darkness of the back seat is shattered. We jump apart like we've been caught in a crime. Roxy clears her throat, her face flushed a deep, dusty crimson under the soot. "Guess the alignment rack's back online," she says, her voice rough and uneven. She's out of the car before I can even find my breath to reply. An hour later, the sedan is back on the concrete floor, the tires perfectly straight. The hood is closed, the bill is paid, and the keys are back in my hand. I should leave. My apartment is clean, my laptop is waiting, and my life is orderly. I look at Roxy, who is slowly wiping a wrench with a greasy rag. She looks lonely in the middle of her own shop. "Hey, Roxy?" She looks up, her expression guarded and hesitant. I realized I don't actually know how to maintain this thing. I can design a skyscraper, but I can't even change my own oil. She raises an eyebrow, a flicker of the old smirk returning to her lips. "You really want to get those soft hands dirty, Jules? Show me." She doesn't laugh this time. She grabs a fresh oil pan and a socket wrench. "Get under here, then." I slide onto the creeper, my heart racing for a non-architectural reason. She slides in right next to me, our shoulders pinned together on the narrow board. The space under the engine block is tight, hot, and smelling of iron. "Put your hand here," she whispers. Her voice isn't a bark anymore. It's a low, husky vibration in the small space. She reaches over, her chest pressing firmly against my arm. She wraps her hand over mine, guiding the wrench onto the drain bolt. Her skin is warm, her grip surprisingly firm and steady. "Easy now, don't strip it, just a little pressure." I can smell the cedar soap from my cardigan on her skin. I turn the wrench, and the dark oil begins to drain into the pan. "Good," she breathes right into my ear, her breath hitching. "You're a natural." We slide back out from under the car, the task finished. I stand up quickly, energized by the small victory. "I did it!" I spin around to face her, grinning like a kid who just won a prize. I don't realize how close she is still standing. I bump flush against her, my chest hitting hers with a soft thud. My hands instinctively catch her waist to steady us both. Her eyes are wide, searching mine with an intensity that stops my heart. The mockery is completely gone. There is a vulnerability there that makes my throat go tight. We stand there in the middle of the shop, the world narrowed down to this. The smell of oil, the hum of the compressor, and her heart beating against mine. She doesn't pull away. I don't let go. Then, the garage cat knocks over a metal bucket in the corner. The clatter echoes through the bay like a gunshot. We scramble apart, our faces burning with a sudden, frantic heat. Tools," she mutters, grabbing a stray screwdriver that isn't even for this job. "Right, cleanup. Standard procedure," I stammer, looking at my boots. I start scrubbing my hands with the gritty orange pumice soap. I've never felt less tidy, and I've never felt better. I check the alignment of the wine glasses for the 10th time, 2 inches from the edge of the table. Exactly. My apartment is a temple of white walls and organized books. The scent of rosemary and roasted. Garlic hangs in the air. I've vacuumed 3 times today. Precision is my only defense against the nerves. The buzzer for the front gate sounds, a sharp intrusion. My heart jumps into my throat. I press the release and stand by the door, smoothing my shirt. A soft, hesitant knock. I open it. Roxy is standing there. My brain short circuits. The grease-stained coveralls are gone. She's wearing a soft, oversized cream sweater. Her dark, wild curls are loose and smell like coconut. She looks down at her feet, shifting her weight. "Hey, bun boy." Her voice is missing its usual gravelly edge. I look at her hands. They're pink and scrubbed raw. The black oil that lived under her nails for years is gone. She looks delicate. "You look incredible," I say, and I mean it. She flushes, a deep rose color spreading across her cheeks. "It took 3 rounds of industrial degreaser to get this clean. Don't make it a thing, Jules." I step aside and let her in. She walks through my living room like she's navigating a minefield. She stops at my drafting table, looking at the blueprints. "It's so quiet in here," she whispers. We eat dinner in the soft, warm glow of the pendant lights. She uses her napkin after every bite, watching me carefully. I realize she's just as terrified as I am. We move to the sofa after the plates are cleared. A movie flickers on the screen, but I couldn't tell you the plot. The city lights twinkle through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Roxy shifts closer, the warmth of her sweater pressing against my arm. She hesitates, then slowly lets her head sink onto my lap. I freeze, my breath hitching in my throat. She sighs, a soft, contented sound that vibrates through my legs. She's so soft when she's not trying to be a hurricane. I reach up to the back of my head. I feel the familiar, tight pinch of the elastic band. I pull it loose. My hair tumbles down, spilling over my shoulders and her face. Roxy lets out a tiny, muffled laugh against my leg. I drop the hair tie onto the coffee table. My hair falls like a curtain around us, shielding us from the world. I rest my hand on her temple, my fingers disappearing into her curls. The silence of the apartment isn't lonely anymore. It's full. She looks up through the curtain of my hair. Her eyes are wide and honest in the dim light of the apartment. The television is just a blur of colors in the background. "Jules," she whispers. Her voice is small, stripped of its shop floor gravel. "I was a nightmare in middle school." I keep my fingers still against her temple. "You were a force of nature, Roxy." She lets out a shaky breath, her chest rising against my knee. "I didn't know how to handle someone like you. You were so quiet, so perfect. Everything about you was always in its right place. And I was just a mess of broken parts and loud noise." She reaches up, her fingers ghosting over my shoulder. "I pulled your hair because it was the only way I knew how to make you look at me. I just wanted to be part of your world for a second, even if it meant you hated me." A wave of warmth washes over my chest. The resentment of a decade simply evaporates into the quiet air. "You have my attention now, Roxy. I'm not looking at anyone else." I shift my weight slightly on the cushions. I sink both hands into her thick, untamed curls. They're incredibly soft now that the grime is gone. I find the base of her skull and begin to move my thumbs. Slow, deliberate circles. It's the kind of precision I usually reserve for my structural drafts. But this is more important than any skyscraper. I can feel the tension leaving her neck, one muscle at a time. She lets out a long, shuddering sigh. All the armor, the sarcasm, the leather jacket, it's all gone. She's just a girl who finally feels safe enough to stop fighting. I work my fingers through the waves, massaging her scalp. She closes her eyes, her lashes casting long shadows on her cheeks. "That feels incredible," she murmurs. She melts into the fabric of my slacks, losing her rigid posture. The girl who used to throw lug nuts is now leaning into my touch. I lean down, my own long hair mingling with hers. The scent of coconut and my own cedar soap fills my lungs. She nuzzles her face deeper into the crook of my leg. She's seeking heat, seeking closeness, seeking a home. I realize I'm not just a librarian's assistant to her anymore, and she's not just a grease monkey to me. We're two, people who were lonely in the exact same way for far too long. I continue the rhythm, my hands never tiring. The city hums outside, miles away from the sanctuary of this couch. Roxy's hand finds my free one and squeezes. Her grip is gentle, a silent thank you that says more than any roast. I press a soft, lingering kiss to the top of her head. She doesn't pull away or crack a joke. She just breathes me in and drifts toward a peaceful, heavy sleep. Morning light filters through the steam in the bathroom. Roxy is sitting on the edge of the tub, looking at her reflection. I stand behind her, a comb in one hand and a spray bottle in the other. I gather the wild, dark curls she usually hides under a grease-stained cap. They're still soft from the night before. I begin to weave them together, over, under, and through. A neat, tight braid begins to take shape. It's a structural masterpiece in 3 strands. Roxy watches my hands in the mirror, her chin tilted up. Her eyes aren't defiant anymore. They're shining with a quiet, unmasked affection. I reach the end and secure it with a small, black elastic. Not the kind she used to snap. I rest my hands on her shoulders, leaning down to meet her gaze. She looks at the braid, then back at me. "You're too good at this, Jules." "Precision, remember?" I murmur against her ear. She leans her head back against my chest, a contented sigh escaping her. Her face is clean, her expression peaceful. She reaches up and catches a lock of my own loose hair. She gives it a tiny, playful tug. It's not meant to hurt this time. It's a tender caress. Ready for your shift? I ask. She nods, standing up and smoothing her clean sweater. I grab my keys and her heavy leather jacket from the hook. We walk out of the apartment together, our shoulders brushing. The hallway is quiet, but for once, it doesn't feel empty. Down on the street, the morning air is crisp and clear. The beast is waiting at the curb, its chrome glinting in the sun. I hand her the scuffed helmet. She takes it, but she stops before putting it on. She takes my hand instead. Her fingers intertwine with mine, her calloused palm against my smooth skin. The contrast is perfect. A bridge between two worlds that finally met in the middle. "Pick you up at 6?" she asks, a flicker of the old smirk returning. "Only if you promise not to hit every pothole on the way back." She laughs, a genuine bright sound that echoes off the glass buildings. She hops onto the bike and kicks the starter. The engine rumbles, a familiar, powerful heartbeat in the street. I watch her pull out into the traffic, the braid I made trailing behind her. She's a force of nature, and I'm not afraid to get caught in the storm anymore. I adjust my collar and head toward my own car. Life isn't a series of clean lines and razor edges anymore. It's messy, loud, and full of grease. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I drive forward, the road ahead clearer than it's ever been.